Welcome to episode 5 of Busted Buttons. It was a lot of fun last week talking Zelda, but this week we're going to get back into all of gaming. We're going to talk about subscription services and what it means for game developers. We're going to talk about the smart delivery system with the Xbox Series X. I think PlayStation might have something similar to that. We just don't know yet. We're going to talk some Animal Crossing, probably very briefly. Remakes, why I felt like playing. I've been sick this week. So we're going, and I had other things going on this week. Yeah. It was a rough week. It was a rough week for me. But we're going to talk about, I randomly found myself wanting to play the SNES. So we're going to kind of just dig into the psychology of that. We're not doctors. We're just going to talk about it like regular people. We're going to talk about our best sports games, and then we're going to maybe talk about some other things after that. So Red, where do you want to go this week? Start us off.
Well, I really like the idea of these subscription services for games. You have hit them on the past. I know the Xbox Game Pass has been a huge success for fans. Love it. Xbox and Microsoft seem to really love it. And it's like Netflix, but with video games. Yeah. It's such a great concept, but kind of a different angle to hit it from. As you mentioned there in the intro, is what does it really mean for game developers? You know, game developers are so reliant on selling copies of their games to distributors. And when you just put these things out there in the cloud on a streaming service, it really does make me wonder how that's going to impact their bottom line. I mean, obviously shows and movies find a way to make it work with Netflix, Amazon Prime, but these games are also, multi-million-dollar productions, and it really makes me wonder if, that's really going to cut into the traditional model of video game development. I just don't know.
Well, first of all, I don't think third-party developers are going anywhere. They're always going to be there. And like you said, movies and the TV shows have figured it out. So I do think that they are going to figure it out. But the whole interesting part is, how does the money play out? Because they're not selling the game for $50 or $60 anymore. Yep. And we kind of talked about this with Google Stadia. You don't want to pay for the subscription service and then also have to pay for the game. So, where's the revenue sharing? How does that come into play? Are they making as much money? But here's one thing I also thought about. More people might play your game when they don't have to officially buy it. It's just part of the subscription. You can just have it. It's free. Well, it's not free. But, basically it's kind of free. So while it might hurt your revenue a little bit, it might also bring more people to play your game. So, and if you have a certain revenue sharing model, which I'm assuming they have to have, you're not going to work for free and develop games for free. So, there's also a chance, I think, to make more money. And these TV, look, Netflix is huge. Hulu is huge.
Oh, absolutely.
There's something working with that model. So, it might be tough for gaming up front, but I do think that they will figure it out.
As long as they can figure out kind of what that correct ratio is, how much money does the developer get versus how much money Microsoft or PlayStation get for hosting it and for for providing the subscription service. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is. Of course, what the proper ratio is, but you do bring a good point in the visibility. I mean, I think about how many games I've just dabbled in or even bought when I saw them for dirt cheap on Steam sales on the PC. Hey, you know me, I like to buy my games on sale. Yeah. But when you see games for $5, I mean, just 90% off, you're willing to buy it and take the risk on a game that, maybe not be in your wheelhouse or might not be critically acclaimed. Now with the subscription service, I can't think of how many freaking shows and movies I've started on Netflix or Amazon Prime or like you said, Hulu, just because it's it's there. It's on my front page. It has maybe an actor or actress I like in it, so I'll give it a shot.
Sometimes that's the way TV shows get you into their shows. You might not watch a show for 1 or 2 seasons, then it comes out on Netflix. You're like, you know what? Hey, I'll check this out, and then you get into it, and then you start watching it on national television or cable, however it's broadcast. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just really think if they can figure out the proper ratio to where it's still profitable for the developers, and then Microsoft and Sony and whoever else gets it, Stadia, whoever get involved, and they're still
Stadia ain't gonna be there.
No,
they're gonna be gone by then.
Well, plus that you got to buy the stupid games anyway, so it defeats the whole freaking purpose of the subscription model. But that's a whole different thing. But I guess if they can find that ratio to where everyone's profiting off of it, maybe if it's even based on something like game time, the amount of time or the amount of number of people who play your game, you get a certain cut that way, to where it's the more popular games, the developers get a little more money.
Definitely.
I don't know. I was a business major, but not that kind of accounting.
I think you got to go by hours played. To be honest with you, I know YouTube kind of
so,
goes by that, not necessarily ad-wise, but some of their algorithm. Well, they probably have multiple algorithms, let's be honest.
Probably.
But I think you got to go by hours played, just not who downloads it, because if somebody's downloading a game and not playing it, I don't really think you should get paid. But here's one huge issue that I think all gamers are going to have. This thing's going to create a backlog, man. This thing is going to create a huge backlog, because when you can get games for free, and I'm not sure how exactly it's going to work, but I'm guessing that here's a game, you can download it. There's going to be, well, actually, no, you're supposed to be able to play over the cloud. So,
yeah.
See, I kind of think my subscription model is you have like a little Apple TV and you download games to that, but you can also go on the cloud. But this backlog, man. I mean, when you
Mine's
have
bad enough as it is.
That's too much. I love having access in gaming, but that right there, that might be a little bit too much access. But that's the way the world's going. I think we're going. I know we talked about it quite a few times in our past episodes, because it's probably the next big thing in gaming.
Probably, yeah.
And there's a lot of people worried about it. It's going to all work itself out. It's all going to come together beautifully. What that means for consoles, we talked about this in the future. We don't know, but gaming, it's going to change, but the overall concept of playing a game on a screen, that's not going to change. It's always going to be there, and everybody is going to be fine in the end, I think. I'm not sure, I think.
I think so too, and we're sitting here talking delivery systems for games, subscriptions, things like that. Microsoft had a pretty interesting announcement here recently for the Xbox Series X, talking about this new smart delivery system for games that they're going to be launching with the Xbox Series X. And if you're not familiar with that term, it basically means you buy a game, and whatever console you're playing it on, whether it's your Xbox One or your Xbox Series X, it will download the correct version of that game for you to play. So it's basically, as we go from this generation to the next generation of consoles, the games you buy, right now it's mostly just Microsoft first-party games, but it is open to other developers. Mm-hmm. It's like the games you buy, as soon as you go buy an Xbox Series X, it will upgrade these to the Xbox Series X version of these games if it's available. And to me, I mean, that's something we've had on PCs forever, because PC games have been set to where you can scale the graphics to match your hardware. So now having something like that on consoles is really going to smooth, I think, the transition from the current generation of gaming to the next generation. And I got to say, I think it's very, very consumer friendly. I'm excited for it. And I know, like I said, it's mostly just first party Xbox games, but already CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077 has said, if you buy our game in September, you will get the upgraded version if you buy an Xbox Series X in the holiday season, whenever the release date ends up being.
Now, is that for the physical copy and the digital copy, or is it only for digital copies? Like, how's all that work?
I'm not entirely sure, but I know so many games now, even when you buy the physical copy, it still has to install and download onto your system.
It's like 40 gigabytes usually.
Yeah, I found that out. I remember I found that out. I bought Final Fantasy 15 ages ago. Still never played it, but I put the disc in, and it was like, you have a 40 gig download. I'm like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's why I bought the disc.
That would take forever too.
So what do you think about this smart delivery system for the Series X?
I mean, it just seems like it's common sense to me. Like the technology is advancing. Yes. So if you buy a game, you should be able to play on this system or that system. We can figure it out. We can make it work. So I think it's just one of those things. You got to do it. Because people are not going to buy a game for both systems unless it's Breath of the Wild and it's just amazing. And Nintendo hadn't figured out that whole technology. But like I said, the technology's there. I don't think that's something that's that complicated to do. I don't think it's really bad for the companies. I don't think they're going to lose a lot of money. Now, here's the thing. I know that with Cyberpunk 2077, I think that Xbox is doing it for free, correct?
I believe so, yep.
See, now here's one thing. I don't care if they actually charge a little bit, because here's how I look at everything. All this stuff like processing and just like you have to pay people to figure this out to make it work.
Oh, for sure. So
there's costs of doing all this stuff. So if they want to charge a little bit, it doesn't bother me that much, because I understand with our stuff and what we do in our brands, there are costs behind the scenes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like developers, gaming people, companies, Xbox, Sony, whoever, Microsoft, not Xbox, Microsoft and Sony. There's costs associated with all these things. So I'm not one of those people, you got to give it to us free or we're just going to throw a whole fit. No, as long as it's reasonable, you can charge me a little bit of money, because I understand there's costs behind there. But to me, this whole concept is just common sense. And now that we know that Xbox is doing it, I think PlayStation has to do it, because like I said, common sense. You got to do it. The technology's there. Just don't mess around with this. Don't mess around. Don't play games with us. Just do what you're supposed to do.
And I agree. I think Sony is working on their own system because they've been a lot more tight-lipped about the PlayStation 5 so far than the Xbox has.
They can be. They're
Microsoft
dominating right now.
Right, yeah, they can afford to kind of sit back and, again, be the second party that comes out with the news. But I do kind of wonder, as much good as like the publicity and things are for this for Microsoft, I do wonder if people will now kind of hold off on buying an Xbox Series X knowing that, hey, down the line, I know my game's going to upgrade anyway. So I wonder if it'll hurt their, like, first month sales up front, just because people will know, I just bought this game. I know eventually it'll work on the Xbox Series X version. I don't need that this month. I do wonder if that'll cut into the bottom line a little bit, but I do think the word of mouth and the good publicity that comes with this approach will kind of help to smooth that out a little bit. But it is a good question, and I'm sure they have people much smarter than me back there trying to figure out. I
got one question though. Do save points transfer? She kind of talked about, like, I'm not going to buy this game because I can just get it on the Xbox Series X in a couple months, which is honestly what I would probably do. Yeah. Like, I'm going to get. I don't know which one I'm going to get yet, but if there's a game coming out, like let's say Cyberpunk September, and the new systems are coming out holiday, I'll probably just wait to get on the Xbox Series X. But do the save points transfer over? I think that's very important because, you're not going to start a game and then restart it.
I think they would, because cloud saves are such a common thing, except you got to pay for them on Nintendo.
Yeah. Hey, it's $20 man. You've been complaining about for so long. It's $20. I know you can afford that, but you're sitting here playing SNES and NES games on your Wii, on your block that's called the Wii U, all because you're too cheap to pay $20 a year to get your games on the Switch and to have a cloud-based system. And this is why, when your Switch broke, you lost all your Breath of the Wild data because you were too cheap to pay $20.
I'm more pissed about all the Super Mario Odyssey moons I lost.
Oh, that's a good point too.
I had 877 fucking moons out of 880.
Well, I guess you're just going to have to play the game again, man.
Well, it is one of my all-time favorite games, so that's not a bad thing. But while we're kind of talking Nintendo and Nintendo games here, one of the bigger upcoming releases we have on the horizon, no pun intended, is Animal Crossing New Horizons coming out in March. And I'm going to be completely honest, I have never played an Animal Crossing game, but I know, just based on the reaction on Twitter, the people chatting on our Discord server, like, people are excited for it, and it is a first-party Nintendo game, so I get it. I've never played one, but I just want to toss this to you. Do you have any interest in jumping into the new Animal Crossing New Horizons?
Red, before we did the podcast, I said, you know what, look up Animal Crossing, figure out what the hell it is, so you know what the hell to talk about, and have a general idea. Of course, I forgot to do that, so I don't even know what the hell Animal Crossing, I know the name of it, but do you even know what type of game and, what you do in it?
It's hard to describe. I've never played one, but I was reading up a little bit on it earlier. Basically, you build a village, and, people as in non-player characters will come to your village and they'll live their lives, and there's some little activities and stuff to do. I don't know what exactly the key gameplay mechanic is, other than just building up your village and getting the people there.
Yeah,
they call it Animal Crossing because they're all all the villagers are like animals. So
it's like BoJack Horseman. It's animals and humans.
Yeah.
Mixing together. I don't know if there's humans in it, but
so I think there is. I think your main character is a human, and then everyone else is animals. I think, but I could be wrong. But I mean, I'm excited to see the interest in it, but it's just I was like, what is the core gameplay here? What is it that's going to keep me coming back? It sounds like it'd be a relaxing experience. I would hope, just sit down, throw a house here, get somebody moved in, decorate, build a park, whatever. I don't know. It sounds like, SimCity 2000 all over again, but on Nintendo. But I don't know. I don't know if it's something I'll jump out and buy, because we talked about backlog, and mine is humongous. So even for a first-party Nintendo game like this, I don't know if it's one I'll jump out and get. I really don't.
Man, I got 5 people in my household. If I build a fucking village, there ain't going to be nobody there. So that's going to be a really short game if that's the main concept for me. But you know what? I think I am going to buy it, because Nintendo really never lets me down on their first-party games. True. I heard it's beautiful. I don't know, the way you described it. Like I said, I don't really know what it's about. I'm not sure if that type of game is something that I will like. but I'm ready to try it out. I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of good things about it. I know that it is a big game. I guarantee that it absolutely looks beautiful because Nintendo, they just know how to do their art styles.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You know, when you brought this up, like when we were talking about before the podcast, like I really hadn't thought about that much, but I've made up my mind. I am going to buy it. I am going to check it out because they don't let me, Nintendo does not let you down with the first party games, like I said. I know it's going to be beautiful. You know, it will be a great experience. We'll find out, but I know there's so many other games I could go back and play. Probably won't do it, but it's just a big franchise. You know, like, and it's one of those Nintendo first parties that you can add to the list of already great franchises. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to buy it. We'll see what happens.
I'm going to have to kind of see what the critical reception is for sure. But I mean, you recently went through this with Luigi's Mansion 3, right?
Yep.
Because you had never played the first two.
Yep.
And you jumped into 3 and you said you really enjoyed it. You really loved the gameplay for it. So,
well, I didn't love the controls at all times, but there's some controls that were a little, I don't know what you were doing, Nintendo, because Nintendo is like, I think of all the video game makers, or like, you know, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I think they're the best at controls. We've seen that with, you said it, Super Mario Odyssey. That game is so fluid and controls so well. And Nintendo is just great at that. But with Luigi's Mansion 3, like, yeah, there were some controls that were very good. But there were also sometimes I was like, what were you thinking here, Nintendo? What are you doing?
So did no one play this?
Yeah, but I did jump into Luigi's Mansion 3. I had a really good time with it. So I think me doing that, and like, no, I didn't have to play the first two. Like, would it have helped? Probably. But I think like video game makers design their games nowadays. Like, if you're coming in on the third one, you can still sort of understand and play it. So for me, like, kind of
look at Witcher 3.
Yes. We're going to talk about that one day on the podcast, but I want to do a lot of research because that might be a whole freaking podcast that we talk about the Witcher 3. But like I was saying with Luigi's Mansion 3, like kind of coming over and starting a new franchise, like I'm more apt to do that now because I've done it. It was a good experience. So yeah, you know, I'll try some things out. You usually deliver on your first parties. I'll give it a shot. So let's go.
Well, sticking with the Nintendo theme here for just a little bit longer, I don't want to run the entire podcast, but you did mention you were feeling a little under the weather this week, and you found yourself playing some SNES games instead of, you know, like your Death Strandings or another PS4. I'm getting ahead of myself here. PS4 or Xbox One game. Kind of take me through that a little bit. What was kind of the motivating factor behind that?
Well, not to dive too much into my personal life, but I did get a vasectomy this week, and then I got the stomach bug, and like my body has just been through a lot this week. Because like we won't talk about the first one that much because it's just it's not that pleasant of an experience.
Not a fun experience. No. Been there and done that as well. Not fun.
It's not, but just doing that and then recovering, but then getting the stomach bug during it, like my body took a beating. But yesterday is when I was sick, and I found it very interesting. Like I kind of got up, you know, I was about 6 hours of hell. And then like after I kind of started coming around, you know, didn't feel like I had to go to the restroom, like throw up. You know, that's what a stomach bug is. When I feel like I didn't have to do that anymore, I was kind of like, I really want to play the SNES. And I didn't know why. Now, I don't really think like psychologically why I want to play games very often. I just play whatever I want to play. I don't really need a reason to do it. But I just found myself thinking, why did I want to play SNES? Like, is it like when you're sick, you kind of feel weaker. It kind of takes you, at least this is how I feel. It kind of takes you back to being a child because, you know, you feel weaker. You don't feel as strong as you usually do. So is it something like that where when you're sick, you kind of go back to your days as a child and you kind of just wanted to play like, you know, a game that you played during that time? Or was it a concept of more, it's just a simpler game, you know, Death Stranding? There's no way I could have focused on Death Stranding yesterday. So is it more like the nostalgia, the kid aspect when you're sick? Or is it more like, you know, it's just simpler? And I found myself, it was very interesting that I was even thinking of that.
Yeah. Well, and the way I would think of it is that, you know, a lot of the SNES games we're familiar with already. We've played them, we've beaten them, and I don't know exactly what you played or if it's something you've beat before.
I played Super Mario World.
So yeah, you've beaten that before.
Yeah, I've beaten that a couple times.
It's just when you're that familiar with a game, especially a classic like that a lot of our listeners and us have played many times, it's like you can kind of just shut your brain off a little bit. Or if you're on drugs, you don't have to worry about that messing with your brain too much. By drugs, I mean painkillers and stomach bug stuff, not what other extracurriculars you guys do.
Yeah.
But just to me, it's like, I do really think it's that familiarity. It's comforting. And plus you can kind of just turn your brain off and go. You don't have to follow these huge in-depth storylines and plots and game mechanics. I mean, it's just a familiar experience. And so I'm with you. I think that if I'm feeling sick, I don't want to play something that I have to pay a ton of attention to. I mean, because one, you can't focus that much.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're feeling weaker. You might be on some painkillers or some cold medicine that's gonna, kind of put you in a bit of a haze. You don't want to be playing something new that you really have to focus on. So I'm with you. If I'm feeling a little under the weather or went through something like you went through, there's nothing wrong with just firing up a classic and just kind of going through the motions,
Well, it's also the whole family got sick. So, it wasn't just me.
Yeah,
it was dealing with
true.
the family the whole week. But here's the thing. Couldn't I just do that with like another system? For example, the Switch has a Super Mario Wii U Brothers Deluxe Edition, like Championship Edition, whatever it's called. Like, I could have done that with there are 2D games that you can play. Well, some of them aren't that simple. I'm looking at you, Celeste, Ori and the Blind Forest, Unravel. I could go on and on about all these goddamn 2D platformers that are way too freaking hard these days. I love you 2D platformers, but you gotta make it a little simpler for me. Because if I'm quitting on the third level, your damn game is too hard. Because I don't suck that much, okay? Now, I'm not the best gamer, but I'm not the worst gamer either. But, but I could just... I could play other games that are 2D platformers, other Mario games, whatever, but I don't know. We can kind of get away from this. I just found it very interesting that happened. I'm kind of wondering if other people have something like that.
All right, we've spent a little bit of time here talking about older games and some nostalgia there. Now, a trend that we've really been seeing a lot of recently is remaking these old games. Just here in the last few months, we've seen Link's Awakening remake get released on the Switch, which was amazing, by the way. Mm-hmm. You had the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was nominated for the Game Awards for the best game of the year. And you also had the Warcraft 3 release, recently got re-released, I guess.
Yeah, all these are re-released.
Yeah, exactly. And I gotta say, as a person who's grown up with video games and played a lot of these games over the years, I kind of like seeing these remakes being released with, you get the updated visuals, you get the little, the modern gameplay that I'm kind of a big fan of these remakes. I mean, some people will complain maybe about the lack of, originality, things like that. But I'm like, these games were amazing for a reason back then. And if we can keep that feel and just update and make them a little modern, then I'm completely on board with companies, especially Nintendo, trying to do remakes. And I would like to get kind of your thoughts on that. How do you feel about some of these remakes? I mean, I know you love Link's Awakening, but in general.
Hollywood is also great at being original. You're talking, the gaming world is a lot better than Hollywood is with movies. But I like them too. You have that nostalgia factor, but there's an update to it. Like, yes, the graphics are better. The processing power is, it better be freaking better than like an SNES game or whatever system the game originally came out on. But then also, I think the controls are always a little bit better.
I think so too.
For me, it's like taking this nostalgic game and just polishing it up a little bit more. Like graphics are better, processing, controls. And so for me, you enjoy it in a different way, but I don't know. I do like them. I really do like them. I hope that we see more, but at the same time, you got to have that new stuff coming out. You can't just have remakes all the time. So I'm kind of cool with mix up a little bit, have some remakes, but definitely have those newer games. And as people know, on our last episode, we are huge Zelda fans, and they've already remade a lot of Zelda games like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Link's Awakening. But there are so many games that they could remake that would be awesome, like Skyward Sword. You could remake Skyward Sword, Nintendo. And I really didn't think about this, and we're not going to talk about Zelda too much because we did last podcast. But Link to the Past, I would love to see an update. Doesn't have to necessarily be, or a remake, doesn't have to be necessarily the Link's Awakening style engine, but just something like with updated graphics, I think would really make that experience really fun. But at the same time, you could say, well, isn't a Link Between Worlds something like that?
Kind of.
Oh, well.
But I will say, though, that I think it's not only is it a great chance for people like us to play who've played these games before, to play them on our current hardware. You don't have to go digging up an old console, an old TV, something like that, we can play it again now on our Switch, on our computer, on our Xbox. But it also gives the chance for a whole new generation of gamers to experience these games.
Yep.
I mean, just on our Discord channel alone, how many people talked about they'd never played Link's Awakening?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
How many people were frustrated with Resident Evil 2 because back then the controls were absolutely terrible. And these remakes were just almost universally praised in how well they were done. And not just the graphics, but the controls and just quality of life improvements that you get now. And I've never played a Resident Evil game. The accolades that the remake got, though, kind of makes me want to go pick it up and fire it up. So if it can introduce a whole new generation of gamers to these classic games, then I am all for it. We've got Final Fantasy VII Remake coming up here before too long, and that is one of the most beloved games ever. And again, another game I never played. I'm like, I might have to check it out because it's on so many people's, favorite games of all time lists that, if it introduces a whole new generation of gamers to these classics, then I'm all for it. Just don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, what remake has been bad? Can you even think of one that people have complained about?
Oh, the Warcraft 3 remake that just came out not too long ago got a lot of criticism. I think they tried to toe the line between the look and feel of the original too much.
You can't do that.
So some of the controls and visuals still felt like they were just kind of stuck in between, trying to keep that original feel, but then trying to modernize it a little bit. It seems to me like that one kind of fell flat, and it actually pissed off a lot of hardcore fans who just want to play the original version because the way the developer, I think it's a Blizzard if I'm not mistaken, the way they pushed it down, you can't go back and play the original version now. It forced you to update. Yeah. And granted, you're talking about a 15-something-year-old game, but there's still people out there who play it. I mean, hell, we're playing Nintendo games that are 30 years old for crying out loud.
And one of my favorites is actually on the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Oh,
I know some people might. Here's the thing. Is it a remake or is it an update? I kind of look at those the same. If the game is different, to me, it's a remake. And so I never played Halo 1 and 2, the campaigns. So when I bought Halo 2, I just played that all online. And I never got around to the campaign. And so, I didn't play 1, 2, like I said, until the Master Chief collection came out. And one of the coolest things, and I really wish more remakes would do this, in that Halo Master Chief collection, where you could switch visual styles between, hit select, and you could see, the way it used to look. And the updated HD version, that was so cool. And I think that's just one of the greatest remakes ever. But it's just like you said, it brings a lot of people it actually introduces a lot of people to a game they never played, and then that might get them involved in the franchise, and then you might end up playing more games. So I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't mind seeing more of them. I wish, actually, Mario. Can you imagine a Mario 64 freaking remake?
In the Odyssey engine?
Oh my
Lord. God.
Oh,
come on. These are billion-dollar ideas. Come on, Nintendo. I don't know if
it's a billion-dollar idea, but it's a lot of money right there. So, I'm cool with it. Now, let's kind of switch up gears a little bit. Are you done with that
Actually, I do have one quick question. It's kind of funny you mentioned Halo, because one thing that you and I have always disagreed on, and this is only tangentially related to anything we were talking about, inverted controls. When it comes to kind of any shooting game. I loved inverted controls. If I fire up Halo or another shooter and the controls are set to default, I'm like, what the hell? I can't. I'm looking at the ceiling instead of the, that's just the way my mind has always been wired when it comes to first-person shooters, is to think of it like you're flying a jet. You push forward to look down, you pull back to look up. And for some reason,
but you're not a fucking jet. You're a human.
But that mentality has always stayed with me. But I know you disagree on that.
I think people like you that like inverted controls are sick, and I think you all need help. I think
I need help for a lot of reasons.
But I hate inverted controls. I absolutely hate them. And you talk about, it's a jet. No, you're a human. I understand the concept a little bit, because if you're thinking, you push down on the head, you're looking down. But no. Okay, here's the thing. Inverted controls, okay, with something like a flying game, okay, that makes sense. You push down on the thing, it goes down. You push or pull, however the freak it works. However you do that, I'm cool with that. But if it's like a human or like something that has a head, Like, inverted controls, if you like them, you're just messed up. And like, I will almost quit playing a game because of inverted controls, because it drives me absolutely insane.
Thankfully, the vast majority of games that have that kind of control scheme, they do have the option to let you switch it, like switch that y-axis. Most games do now. If you find one that does, I feel like that should be a basic requirement.
I mean, almost all games, I think, give you the option for both of them.
I'm pretty sure they do, which is I don't know why you'd ever change the other one, but I'm sitting here, I don't know why the hell you'd ever play a game regular. So clearly there's people out there who prefer it that way.
You guys are, you inverted people. Like, you're a whole new group, like you're a whole different group of people. Just go over there, sit in your corners, play your damn inverted controls, and leave us regular folks alone, okay?
Hey, I will say, I'm a little weird in terms of, like, if I'm playing the game on a console, I prefer to have the controls inverted with the, when you've got the actual thumbstick, the joysticks. If I'm playing a shooter on my PC where you just, you push the mouse up, you pull the mouse down, I like it regular. It's just something about moving the mouse around, a computer monitor.
Yep.
That's, we've done it, the traditional way for as long as computers have been around. So if I'm playing on a computer, I will actually play with the default controls. But if I got a controller and a joystick in my hand, I'm going to use the inverted every single time.
I can understand that to be, well, I don't play a lot of PC games, but I could understand that. Now, here's one topic that I kind of wanted to talk about today. And best sports games, best video game sports. I don't know why I had to specify video games. It's a freaking video game podcast. Like, why do I feel the need to like specify that we're talking about video games and not just regular sports? But anyways, it's not a genre that we play very much anymore.
Not anymore.
But it's a genre, like, I played sports growing up. Was I good or not? Depends on who you ask. If it's your brother, he would say no.
Because he couldn't catch the shit balls you were throwing.
Well, if he ran the right routes, it wouldn't have been a problem, all right? But, growing up playing sports, I did play a lot of sports games. And then when Red and I got to college, like, a lot of them, like Tiger Woods, kind of turned into drinking games.
Yes,
so,
it did.
like, yeah, we don't play them now, but we did play them a little bit more. At least I know I did. I don't know how much you exactly played them.
I played a lot of sports games back in the day too, so I'm with you.
But go ahead. What are some of your favorite sports games, like, all time?
Well, you kind of touched on it already. The Tiger Woods PGA games. And part of it is definitely because all through college, we definitely turned it into a massive drinking game.
Tiger.
Drinking Tiger was our pregame for most of our going out or partying nights. It's just every shot turned out that somebody was stuck drinking something, or everyone was drinking. So, like, that
there were never any rules to that game. Like, you pretty much just made up the rules as you went along. It was basically, you take 1, 3, or 5 drinks. And it was never consistent, but that's what made it so fun.
Hey, it was a good system. But so Tiger Woods will always have like a very nostalgic place, because those are some great times in college. And even for a year or two after college, I won't lie, we kind of kept it up a little bit.
Yep.
So when I think of some of my favorite sports games memories, that's one that the Tiger Woods genre definitely sticks out for me. How about for you?
Well, actually, NBA Street sticks out for me as a great memory, because me and one of my friends, the lawyer friend that we got into trouble that one time, we won't mention him by name, but he got himself into trouble. But
he thought he could drink with us.
Yeah, that's his problem. He can't drink with us. Don't try to, okay? No. Now, there probably are some people out there that can, but that one couldn't. But
hey, we got our friends with their Drink to the Past podcast out there. They might be able to.
Yeah. I guarantee they probably. The Spamo Man. I guarantee Spamo Man can drink with us. But maybe if we get together, we will know. But NBA Street, me and my friend, we used to play that all the time. And I mean, man, we would battle. We would absolutely have battles, because that game was so cool, because you didn't really have to have skill. Like, somebody could go for a dunk and you could just nail them. And that, it made it so fun, because, I mean, I think that you played to 21. It was either 15 or 21, and you had to win by 2. I mean, we would have 30 to 28 games, constantly. And so that for me, just kind of being roughhousing, just the awesome dunks, reminded me a lot of NBA Jam.
Oh, it was the natural evolution from NBA Jam.
Yeah, but my junior and senior year of high school, just playing NBA Street Volume 1 and Volume 2, those are some great memories. And then it was actually one of the games, NBA Street Home Court, which I think came out on Xbox 360. That's one of those random games that weren't like Halo, that actually played a lot online. And so I enjoyed that one a lot too.
Now, another really, really, really popular franchise that I know, I'm not sure how much you've played it, but I've played it a lot with some of my buddies back home, is the FIFA franchise.
Yep.
And that's one that I have heard so many people say, even if you're not a soccer fan, even if you're not really a sports game fan, people get into FIFA. And I get it. It's a lot of fun to get a couple of buddies together, whether you're going competitive or all playing on the same team and screaming at each other because they won't pass you the fucking ball. But either way, I feel like FIFA is one of those games that it's simple to learn the controls because you're just running, passing, and kicking.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than that, of course, but it's a simple concept. And even people who I never thought I would, like anything soccer related or, football for our overseas listeners, but they've latched on to FIFA, and it seems to be like such a great cash cow for EA. And I got to say, I have a lot of fun, drinking with some buddies and playing some FIFA. I haven't here recently because they got a little too good for me.
Yeah. I'm with you. I haven't played in a while, but I do remember those matches of 2-on-2, which, like you said, I hated playing 2-on-2 because they would never do what you wanted them to do.
Right.
But there was a good 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly what year FIFA it was, but I played a lot of FIFA. And I think it's just cool scoring goals because
it really is.
It's easy to make a shot for basketball. It's easy to hit a depends on who you ask. It's easier to hit a baseball than it is to score a goal. It's easier to kick a field. Well, I don't know about that, but it's just easier to do things than scoring a goal. So I think that kind of is appealing to that. That's what's appealing of the game because it's just something that. It's very simple and it's very cool when you do it. Then you have the celebrations or whatsoever. But one game that I really like and that I know a lot of people don't play, and I only bought one installation. I'm probably only going to buy one installation of it, but it was still good. It was still good, and that is MLB The Show. I grew up playing baseball. Absolutely loved it. Can't really watch it, but just one day I was kind of like, you know what? I want to get a baseball game because I can't play anymore. I'm too damn old. I'm going to hurt myself. So I don't want to watch it because it's too boring. The games are too long. So I would like to play it. So I got MLB The Show 19. I played the crap out of it. It was very awesome hitting home runs. Like I said, that kind of gave me my fix. That's all I needed. But a very good franchise if you're into baseball and want a baseball game.
Now, there is a genre that we both like, but in two very, very different ways, and that is racing games.
Yep.
Now, back many, many, many years ago, I played Gran Turismo 3. It was one of the first racing games, more serious style.
Everyone played Gran Turismo 3 back in the day.
And I couldn't stand it. I sucked. I was awful. I mean, it looked gorgeous back then on the PS2. I get that. But I sucked at it. So when it comes to racing games, I stick to Mario Kart. And I don't know if you can call that a sports game, but it's a racing game. So I'm saying Mario Kart is an amazing sports franchise. I've bought damn near every iteration of it, including Mario Kart 8 twice. Thanks, Nintendo. Keep taking my money.
Your money.
I know you're a little more into the little more realistic racing games. You loved your Gran Turismo, and you've also been playing a lot of Forza, haven't you?
Yeah, Gran Turismo 3 was amazing back in the day. I don't really consider Mario Kart a sports game. I kind of understand where you're going with that, and I'm cool if people do consider it a sports game because it is racing. I'm cool with it. It's in real sports games, you don't freaking throw shells at people. When you're in first place, you don't get hit by a blue shell. You don't slip on banana peels when you're driving a car. So not a sports game, but if you consider it a sports game because it's racing, I'm cool with it. Now, Forza. Forza has ruined every fucking other racing game for me because it's that good. They have their Horizon, which I wasn't a big fan of at first. It's the open world kind of racing where you can just run around, do races anywhere in a big open land. Their Horizon series used to not be my favorite. Now it is my favorite. And then they had their motor sports, which is just basically going around a track. But that's the standard. Gran Turismo fell off after 3, really. It took them way too long to release 4, and then 5 wasn't much better. And since that time, Forza's kind of taken over, and that's the standard. That's really the only racing game I play other than Mario Kart because, like I said, Forza has ruined every other racing game. I'll try a racing game. I bought something the other day. It's Assetto Corso or something like that. Don't know the exact name. Doesn't really matter because it ain't that freaking good. But it's just, I played 10 minutes of it. I'm like, not Forza.
Now, I do know there's a racing franchise that people really want to see come back, and that is F-Zero. I don't think there's been an F-Zero game since the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I've heard that, again, it's not a realistic racing game by any stretch, but it's one that it seems to have a pretty hardcore following, and I'm surprised Nintendo or whoever the actual developer was hasn't gone back to that well and put out an updated version, because I think there are enough fans of it, or at least they would recognize the name from the Super Smash Brothers, that they would jump on it and pick it up. So I didn't expect to spend this much time talking about racing games, but there we go.
Well, I didn't really expect to spend that much time, even though we have behind the scenes a lot of notes. Like, it's just not a genre that we play much. But like I said, it is something that we play. Like the memories are there. And I think that's kind of where, I think when you're talking about gaming, that's where you get lost a lot. And like where you just talk, it's all about the memories. Maybe you don't play them anymore, but those memories are still there. That's one of the most important things of gaming. But I kind of want to end with one more type of game, Punch-Out!, Fight Night Round 3. Those boxing games, not very good at them, but those boxing games, they've always been a bunch of fun.
Oh my God, we had some battles in Fight Night. Oh my gosh.
We did. Yes, we did.
I absolutely loved the Fight Night. I think I played round 2 and round 3. Or was it round 3 and then whatever?
I played a lot of round 3. That's the one that me and you played a lot.
Yeah, we used to play that one quite a bit on the old 360. Oh my gosh. I'm a boxing fan. I love watching boxing, and I'm with you. I'm not very good at either, which is I think why our matches were always so much fun, because we both kind of just sucked at it.
Yeah. Well, we were more technical. Like, there's people that play games and they're like, this is the way you're supposed to play them, and they end up sucking usually. I'm like that. Like, okay, you're supposed to now, I don't know boxing really well, but you're kind of supposed to. Actually, I've never boxed in my life. I don't know shit about boxing. But like, you're kind of like, oh, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that.
To play a little defense and things
the
like
people that always seem to suck at FIFA are the ones that know how to play soccer. They're like, oh, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. And then you have Joe Schmo over here just mashing freaking buttons, which, oh my God, that's the most frustrating crap in the world, is when you have a friend who doesn't know shit about what they're doing. They don't know how to play the game. It's usually their first freaking time playing the game. They're sitting there, they're mashing buttons, and they're kicking your ass.
I remember that's kind of what ruined Fight Night for me, was that same friend you used to play NBA Street with, if I'm not mistaken.
This friend's a punk, man.
He comes over one night, jumps in, and he just does nothing but mash the punch buttons, or I guess it was on the joystick back then, whatever, and just beat the piss out of both of us. And we're like, you've never played this game in your life. What the hell is happening? Like, we're trying to block and parry, and he's just throwing haymakers left and right. Next thing you know, we're knocked out. We're like, what the fuck just happened? That was a frustrating night of boxing, and I do not think I've played a Fight Night probably since that night. It ruined it for me. It absolutely ruined it for me. And it is rare that a game will do that to me.
Red, I'm the same. I think I'm in the same boat. I think that was the last time I played. That was Fight Night Round 4. I believe that was the last time I played it, because I was like, this game is flawed. There's something broken with this game. It does not work. I am done playing this game. Now, before we wrap up, I want to talk about one topic pretty quickly, and that's video game collector's editions. Like, kind of something that, now that physical gaming is going away a little bit, this is not something that, you still see it. But, people don't buy as much. But with the collector's edition, like, before we finish, like, wrapping up, it's a very short topic. Kind of what do you like to see in collector's editions?
For me, I think the most important thing now, and this has changed over the years, but the most important thing for me now is a soundtrack. Whether it's a CD or a digital download, I don't care. If you provide a soundtrack for a game, that will make me jump out and maybe spend a little extra money for the digital deluxe edition. Back in the day, I used to love the big gaudy shit that came with stuff. Like, I remember I bought Skyrim. It came with a statue of a dragon. Halo 2 or Halo 3 came with that Master Chief helmet. I remember that you could almost put on your own head. And I'm like, I don't want to keep moving that crap from apartment to apartment now. So for me, the biggest thing for a collector's edition is like a soundtrack and maybe like a cloth map, a nice map of the world. Like, that's what sells it for me. How about you?
I kind of like the map bite concept if it is a game that uses a map. Then what was the one thing? The soundtrack. Definitely got to have the soundtrack in there, even though you can get that online or listen to it online pretty easy nowadays. I also like to see
perfectly legitimate means.
Yeah, I also like to see some artwork, like, not up to the standards of like the Zelda books and all the artwork that they show in Hyrule Historia. Actually, it's Arts and Artifacts. They show art in all 3 of them. But I like to see a little bit of art. But other than that, I think like it's just cool stuff to collect. I think that's why people buy them, because I don't have like a gaming room that has a lot of stuff up. But
same.
If I did, I think I would get a lot of that stuff from buying the collector's editions. So for me, yes, map, if it applies, soundtrack, a little bit of artwork, maybe some history or some behind the scenes stuff that people don't know about yet, and then just some cool collector stuff that we can put up in our game room. That's what I want to see. But you know what, Red?
Twilight Princess amiibo is a perfect example.
Yes.
Like, Nintendo should package some more amiibos, like exclusives, with their games. That would make me even more inclined to drop the extra $10 and get the collector's edition. But that's just me. I thought that was a perfect example.
Well, Red, it's that time again, man. It's
Boo.
sad. It goes by. I tell you all, behind the scenes, it goes so quickly sometimes.
And we were worried we wouldn't have enough topics to talk about.
Yeah, we'll always have enough topics. Or if not, we'll just go talk about whatever. We'll figure something out. But let's go ahead and wrap up right now. All the links for this stuff will be in the description. But if you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon or PayPal. And then if you can't support us financially, which is obviously fine, a review or a rating, depending on which podcast platform you're on, really helps us out a lot. And then we also have merchandise on both of our websites that you can check out. We may earn a commission if you go through our link. And Red, you kind of want to talk about some of the other stuff we got going on?
Yep, we're also all over social media. We've got our YouTube channel that's Two Guys Playing Zelda. We've got our.
We also have one for TGPC Gaming.
Oh shoot, we do. Yeah.
But it's mostly our non-commentary Zelda stuff, and then we also put our podcast on YouTube.
Yep. We also have our Discord channel where we mostly talk Zelda, but we do get into a lot of other topics. We've got the Zelda Realm Facebook group that you can go out and join, and of course we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on all those. So
we're on social media. Just go find us. You can find us on social media, and the name of our Discord server is Two Guys Playing Zelda. But y'all have fun. Go play some gaming. Until next week, have a good one.